And then I work, I have to prepare, I wear a pair of shorts sometimes. And the sweater gets hot. So I'll even wear a pair of sweatpants for that. And then, so I guess I'll do the rest of it. It's nice thing about radio, I don't have to worry about that.
Dana had the heat on now, but both with Dana and Danielle both love the heat going on there.
I have a heater, I have to turn on this morning. It's a portable, it's just really silly out there. Because I broke my ankle. So they get cold. I have a plug-in. Basically a commercial heat pad. Thick rubber. Sits on the ground. And it's just warm. It's designed for lighter. Because work all day in some place and you have technicians. I love this. Great. I always use it.
3 weeks ago, we were about to eat our house. Every night we eat it. I said, Dad, I don't know if every night when it was long rooms are back in all day. So we always open it.
I haven't been walking in your direction, I've been walking down, away from the area of the north. Because I like going that direction just because I like the action. Let's go. Oh, either way, it's not a big fan.
I mean, I thought I'd come back this morning at 7. Like, oh, usually I'm early at 7. She started she walked there and wiped her. Usually it's later in the day, but I forgot how early the day was to start getting nicer.
Like it's like this morning, it was like 5:40.
I don't know what you're talking about. I don't know. I just don't know what happened.
Don't you come in here and check if you need to have somebody.
No, that's not it. It's just not that. No, I'm not gonna say that. I'm not gonna say that. They really are wonderful. They have That's fair. So that's ARC. Oh, thank you. Five she's so there. Birdie. Jessica is not on there. Brittany Olson. She's the staff member here. Sue. She is not in any way related to Ricky or it's just maternity. So they're Do they bring their own stuff? Well, that's really nice that you guys do that.
Yes, I'm going down to Plattsburgh State. Make up signs.
JR?
Yeah. Well, we gotta get a judge to make a freaking decision. He does what he wants to make.
I mean, you can, right? I thought that was just
I mean, that type of person should not be.
like this budget was over the whole year and then you just made
They
it.
rule it based on 98% of rulings in New York State have been
At all, no matter what, so you have
cases in the last 50 years that have caused
Transfer from one place to another. One of them is transferring, but the other.
I never want
Billy, I'm getting.
managers don't have time. They come.
Oh, sorry.
Are you on? You're on. No, Sylvia's over there. Sylvia is
I see sunshine back. I see it must be coming. Sunshine's back. She's fast.
Nancy.
That's fine. He's not here. Yes, it is. Sorry. You guys
Didn't collaboration.
10's got 4 chairs. Because your stuff is all over the place.
So let's resume. We've come back from an executive session to discuss an Article 7 litigation with regard to the Biles home. You'll be seeing something later on the agenda. No decisions were made on that issue. The council will be voting on the agenda item later on in the meeting. Any other issues that you'd like to bring out for further discussion before we begin on the regular session? Seeing none, can we have roll call, please? Oh, I'm sorry. Pledge of Allegiance.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call, please.
Mayor Reed.
Present.
Counselor Armstrong.
Here.
Counselor Kelly.
Here.
Counselor Dowdle. Counselor Ensel.
Here.
Counselor Casper.
Here.
Counselor Kretzer.
Here.
Resolved that the minutes of the regular meeting of the Common Council held on April 20th, 2017 are approved and placed on file among the public records of the city clerk's office.
Moved by Councilor Armstrong, second by Councilor Kelly. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Passed.
Resolved that the payrolls of the various departments of the city of Plattsburgh for the week ending April 26, 2017 in the amount of $470,753.95 are authorized and allowed, and the mayor and the city clerk are hereby empowered and directed to sign warrants drawn on the city chamberlain for the payment thereof.
Moved by Councilor Kelly, seconded by Councilor Ensel. Discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Resolved that the reports as listed are hereby ordered, received, and placed on file among the public records of the city clerk's office.
Moved by Councilor Kretzer, seconded by Councilor Casper. Discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Passed.
Resolved that the bills allotted by the Common Council for the week ending April 28, 2017 in the amount of $2,173,639.22 are authorized and allowed, and the mayor and city clerk are hereby authorized and directed to sign warrants drawn on the city chamberlain for the payment thereof.
Moved by Councilor Armstrong, seconded by Councilor Ensel. Discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Passed. This is the part of the meeting where we ask any members of the public to please come forward and speak. At this time, we ask you to confine your comments to any agenda items. We will have another comment period at the end of the meeting for any other items of your concern, and there is a 5-minute time limit. So please come on forward. Seeing none, we'll move on.
Resolved in accordance with the request, therefore the Common Council approves the city chamberlain to increase the 2017 general fund budget by a net $11,770.44 based on the list of adjusting entries in the revised budget transfer memo included as part of the documents for the meeting.
Moved by Councilor Casper, seconded by Councilor Armstrong. Discussion. Roll call, please.
Counselor Armstrong?
Yes.
Counselor Kelly?
Yes.
Counselor Ensel?
Yes.
Counselor Casper?
Yes.
Counselor Kretzer?
Yes.
Resolved in accordance with the request, therefore the Common Council approves the city chamberlain to adjust the 2017 general fund budget by $43,000 equally in estimated revenue and appropriations for maintenance work to be accomplished on the 2 aircraft in the city park adjacent to U.S. Avenue. The cost of the maintenance will be covered by a transfer of funds from the restricted fund established by the city through a grant from Park for the transportation and maintenance of the donated aircraft.
Moved by Councilor Armstrong, seconded by Councilor Kretzer. Discussion. Department Head Brody, there's actually even funds remaining and available after this, and you secured a couple of quotes for this, and it's very difficult to procure quotes for this because it's highly specialized work. Only a few people in the country do it. So thank you for your help. Any further discussion? Roll call.
Counselor Armstrong?
Yes.
Counselor Kelly?
Yes.
Counselor Ensel?
Yes.
Counselor Casper?
Yes.
Counselor Kretzer?
Yes.
Resolved in accordance with the request, therefore the Common Council approves that the mayor be authorized to sign an engineering consulting service agreement with Atlantic Testing Laboratories for former Highway Oil Gas Station at an estimated total cost not to exceed $3,070, funding available through Capital Project H 5110.63, 2017 40 Bridge Street demolition.
Moved by Councilor Kretzker and seconded by Counselor Casper. Discussion, please.
Get her done.
There is scheduled on Thursday, May 11th, a meeting of the pre-construction team for the highway oil demolition. So we expect the work to actually begin very shortly thereafter.
Good.
So this isn't expected to delay anything. This is all part of the process. Any further questions? Roll call, please.
Counselor Armstrong?
Yes.
Counselor Kelly?
Yes.
Counselor Ensel?
Yes.
Counselor Casper?
Yes.
Counselor Kretzer?
Yes.
Resolved in accordance with the request, therefore the Common Council approves the Superintendent of Recreation to implement the updated City of Plattsburgh outdoor sport field management policy, which is attached.
So moved.
Counselor Ensel. Is there a seconder? Counselor Casper. Discussion.
I just have a question for Steve. Have the leagues and those that use the facilities been notified or of the proposal?
I've talked with a number of the league organizers. For the most part, like Little League, for example, it kind of coincides with their future goals that we've talked about. So, right now, waiting for the approval before we actually implement. So I've talked with people offhand, but I didn't want to give them any copy until this was all voted on and approved.
Okay. So like the Legion teams and those CVBL and that, they're not aware of this or?
Our staff has let them know that we have this policy coming. They shouldn't see a lot of changes for 2017. That's written in there pretty clearly. We wanted to give them more than a year's notice of any other additional changes,
Sure.
which is what this does.
Okay. The only thing I'd like to say is I absolutely commend you for this plan and forward thinking of ways to save some money.
I concur. Thank you, Steve. Here, here.
Mr. Peters, you might want to, just for the benefit of the public, describe very briefly what you're going to accomplish with this new policy. It might be a little bit of new information for some of the people listening.
So for years, our department has been, I think, I'll say proudly, has been taking care of all of our soccer, baseball, lacrosse, youth football fields, and managing them to the best of our ability, and purchasing things like diamond dry for baseball, paint for lines on all the fields everywhere. And I don't know exactly when that all started. I know it's been decades, but it's also been something where it may have started small. Yeah, we'll take care of that. Yeah, we'll take care of that. And then over time, it's really grown. So we started adding up really what the costs were, and looking at different ways to try to mitigate some of the expenses that we've been incurring in our parks, especially. This is one where the expenses really started adding up to the tune of, with just baseball and softball, about $19,000. Very similar to our soccer fields as well. Baseball and softball require a lot of daily work, and stuff that, since these are our investments in our fields, we still have to do no matter what. And as for the policy, which a copy is here, we will be just still doing a lot of that, because once again, we're taking care of our investment. But one of the things we were also doing was taking care of fields in between games and lining them additionally for tournaments and things like that, which ends up having this pretty profound expense over a period of time. So we're looking at making some changes with this, which will also lead to some seasonal staffing changes. We won't hire as many seasonal staff. And then in addition, the next item on the agenda is a transfer of that seasonal staff funds to an equipment account, so that we can buy additional equipment for each field, so that these leagues will have these resources available to them in between games, so that they will be able to get out there and take care of things. We've got instructions and ways in which we want to help them maintain our fields for us in that sense, so that they're not ruining things. And we know a lot of the guys are all really great, so not too worried about that. The other piece is to also allow for timers on our lights, to install those, and timers on door locks to open and close restrooms in our parks, because with our staffing changes even now, there are days which we just can't have our bathrooms open because I don't have staff on to close it because of the cuts that we've made. So that type of investment we're going to make in our parks to kind of automate things a little bit. so that we don't have quite the liability on the staff side.
Thank you.
Thank you, Steve.
Any further questions or discussion? Roll call.
Counselor Armstrong?
Yes.
Counselor Kelly?
Yes.
Counselor Ensel?
Yes.
Counselor Casper?
Yes.
Counselor Kretzer?
Yes.
Resolved in accordance with the request, therefore the common council approves a budget adjustment reducing recreation administration 170020001,300 temporary payroll by $25,000 and increasing 1702000 technical and special equipment by $25,000 to fund infrastructure upgrades and efficiency measures designed to reduce annual expenditures in city parks.
Moved by Counselor Ansel, second by Counselor Casper. Discussion. Obviously, these two resolutions are related. Roll call.
Counselor Armstrong?
Yes.
Counselor Kelly?
Yes.
Counselor Ensel?
Yes.
Counselor Casper?
Yes.
Counselor Kretzer?
Yes.
Resolution authorizing settlement of pending Article 7 real property assessment cases filed by Samuel F. Villas Home. Whereas Samuel F. Villas Home petitioner filed Article 7 real property assessment review petitions against the city for assessment years 2014 through 2016, challenging the assessment on his property located at 61 Beekman Street in the city of Plattsburgh, more specifically identified as tax map parcel number 207-18-638, and whereas it appears...
I'd like to make a motion to waive the reading and move the resolution.
Second.
Moved by Counselor Kretzer, second by Counselor Armstrong.
He's pretty dependable.
Any further discussion? We should note that we've worked with our assessor on this reassessment, and she's comfortable with this reassessment as proper for this location.
Mayor Reed, if I'm not mistaken, the original offer was quite a bit lower than $2 million by the plaintiff. So this is actually a compromise that actually came out in the long run as a little better for the city.
Yeah, I'd say it's not only a compromise or settlement, but it's also a recognition, and that's why it was important for us to have that conversation with the assessor, that we're comfortable with that level of valuation. It's not merely simply a compromise, but we think that the right outcome occurred for both parties.
Okay, thank you.
Any further discussion? Roll call.
Counselor Armstrong?
Yes.
Counselor Kelly?
Yes.
Counselor Ensel?
Yes.
Counselor Casper?
Yes.
Counselor Kretzer?
Yes.
Resolved in accordance with the request, therefore the common council approves a police department employee to attend the New York State Fire Prevention and Control Fire Behavior Arson Awareness Principles Training in Montrose Falls, New York from May 14th through 19th, 2017. The total cost will not exceed $736.20 and will be expensed out of the asset forfeiture fund.
Moved by Counselor Ansel, second by Counselor Casper. Discussion? Roll call.
Counselor Armstrong?
Yes.
Counselor Kelly?
Yes.
Counselor Ensel?
Yes.
Counselor Casper?
Yes.
Counselor Kretzer?
Yes.
There's no resolution for initial discussion, unless anybody would like to bring up anything we'd like to have considered for next week. Council reports or any new business? Please, Councilor Armstrong, we'll just go right up and down the table.
Okay. The Snow Removal Advisory Committee has been meeting. This is our third meeting of the year. We have discussed the 2015 law and the enforcement of that law, as well as other topics related to, eventual goals regarding snow removal. There's still a big contingent among the committee in favor of moving snow removal to a city operation. So that's something we're kind of haggling over. We've had great participation from Mike Brody and Mike Bissett and Joe McMahon from the building inspector's office, the other two from DPW, just in case you don't know. However, when considering the topic of the law, as it was revised in 2015 with a fine plus a fee for snow removal, That committee is almost unanimous in its recommendation that a review of that law be undertaken by the city council, and any revisions or any decisions about that law be undertaken by the council.
Probably
They're not
sooner
gonna make
rather
any
than later.
recommendations, in other words, about how to revise it. Okay?
Okay.
All right, there we go.
Councilor Kelly?
Yes. Immediately following this meeting, we will have departmental reports by the public administration portion of city government. I think every department head participating tonight has provided us with a report in advance, so it should be a pretty quick meeting. Hopefully everyone's read the information. The second thing I wanted to share is that the council budget committee is composed of myself, Peter Insel, and Becky Casper, are going to have our regular monthly meeting with the city chamberlain on May 1st, Monday, 4 o'clock. And we were also advised, and I hope Mayor Reed will speak about this, that we should try to have a 5-year spending plan in place by June 1st, which the mayor will use then to develop his budget. So we're going to strive to do that this year. We've kept the budget under close scrutiny this year, so we know where we stand, and hopefully we'll receive additional advice from Mr. Marks when we meet with him on Monday, and we can hit the ground running.
Thank you. Councilor Ansel?
Actually, I have two things. Right before I came here, I was approached by a student who knew I sat on the council and asked if I might be able just to mention this. Last week, there were some anti-Semitic and racist flyers that were spread around campus that were taken down. So the Hillel, which is the Jewish student union, in Black Onyx, the Black student union, is having a small study break for solidarity on Monday from 6 to 6:20 in the Amity Plaza. So they just asked if I would mention that. It's an effort to show support for all groups on campus, regardless of race, gender, ethnicity, religion, and so on. The second item that I have is, for the second time in a couple of weeks, I was approached by a constituent, and I spoke with the Mikes, and they've told me that they're actually 3/4 of the way through leveling and tilling the old skate park at Penfield Park. This constituent also asked me if we would really give serious consideration to possibly moving the community garden into that area where it is fenced in. From what I've been told, there are some issues. I know when I was campaigning, there were some concerns from residents on Oliver Court about vermin and skunks and so on in the area based upon that were coming from the existing garden. I've been told that there are cars that are pulled in there. If the garden is moved over to that area, the parking lot is right there, Woodlawn Avenue is right there, so there would be easy access to the garden from that point, plus it would be fenced in. Also I was told that at times too, sometimes when the baseballs from both the Little League and Lefty Wilson Field tend to go over there, and the gardeners aren't happy that their gardens might get traipsed on. Certainly I wouldn't be happy either, but also I'm told that they're not nice sometimes to the ball players going back to retrieving the ball. So I would like us to give some consideration to possibly moving the community garden over to that location once it's ready. And I don't know at this point, Mike and Mike, what it would take and how long it would take with the growing season quickly approaching, if, how long it would take for that park to be.
I got to weigh in here as somebody who was a member of that several years back when it was first constructed. The amount of effort that went into the construction of that garden is well beyond a 4-week project. I mean, we built the shed, there's the piping for the watering, the beds are constructed. I mean, it's.
Too ambitious for this year, maybe.
And then I would have a question about where you're moving it to. I mean, I don't know exactly the area, but is there sufficient sunlight? Would it be close to the kids in the skate park? Would those kids be coming over? And you know, when Doug Buttdorf first brought the community gardens to the city, there was a lot of attention about that. And you know, there are issues of people coming in and taking food because it's not fenced, and that's okay. And in my experience, that's all been worked out. And sometimes, you know, in a community, people might get frustrated with each other, but and a lot of those gardens too. This is not a small thing. A lot of those gardens have perennials in them, so it's not just a matter of people planting seeds over there. So,
But you also still have the issue of vermin and skunks and so on.
But you'll have it over wherever you.
But that area, there is not a lot of immediately close housing.
Maybe it could be an opportunity for, next year to expand so that you could keep what you have in.
Well, I would just say, before the city starts making any decisions, that you speak to the community gardens people. Jack Downs is the head of that, and have some outreach. I'm uncomfortable with having this discussion when these are the folks who have actually brought great opportunity to many people to have gardens who otherwise would not be able to have a garden.
Well, I'm not saying that we're taking away the opportunity, we'd just be relocating.
But literally, then it's not Public Works did not create that garden. I helped create that garden. I put in a lot of labor, a lot of people did. So now we would be asking Public Works to recreate the garden, or we're gonna ask the folks who have already created a garden to do it again. I mean, literally, the maintenance and the effort is tremendous. So I'm just saying, please reach out to Jack.
Sure, I still think it's something worth looking into.
And get the information on that, because it's a beautiful garden.
I don't disagree with that. I'm just going based upon what I've heard from two constituents within the past couple of weeks, as well as when I was campaigning from other people that had issues with it.
Well, sometimes there has to be compromises, you know. I mean, the playground is just not far from where the garden is currently situated, and people will bring the children over to come and work in the garden and learn how to plant too. So, I mean, there are pluses and minuses on all kinds of sides here, but without question, I'm just going to tell you from experience, that can't happen this year. It's not even remotely possible.
Councilor Kelly?
I am a community gardener, and one of the nicest things about my community garden plot is the soil. It takes years to develop the soil under your plants, and if any plan to move the garden would have to include a way to move the soil. I think the gardeners might be happier if that were the case, but again, to echo what Becky said, I don't think that can happen this year.
Good conversations to start.
If I recall, soil was brought in from elsewhere to nourish that plot, and then over the years they've added compost, so it would be a big chore to move that. And I would wonder if the alternate plot is as large, and as Becky said, does it have enough sunlight? Because the current location.
I actually think it may be larger, but I'm not absolutely certain of that.
That's good. That would be a good thing.
And it's entirely fenced in.
Well, the current plot over here that we're talking about there's always been abatement of the soil, but right away that was very fertile because that was in time past a cow pasture. Mm-hmm. So I mean that is naturally has been. I mean I can't grow in my personal garden what I used to be able to grow in that community garden. So let's.
Okay. Well, I told them I would bring it up for discussion.
Something to look into.
Mm-hmm.
Any other items you'd like to report? Councilor Cosper?
Thank you to everyone who came out on Saturday to help clean up the city. I'm sure that the truck was full, and the folks on the railroad tracks, we got all the way down to Margaret Street. Mike, I have a question. CP, and we had a CP person with us, they don't clear the brush that they cut down. And all the garbage gets caught in it. And it's very difficult to remove, and it's really quite an eyesore as well. Especially as you get towards Margaret Street, they cut down a tree and didn't even remove any of the branches. And I could do something with the embankments if there was not so much brush there. For instance, I don't know if you guys have taken Amtrak recently, south, past Albany. There's a whole section where it's all wildflowers. It's the most gorgeous thing. But if CP doesn't clean up the brush, and the guy who was with us, he said, I don't know why, he said, in Rouse's Point, they bring a chipper along when they're cutting down the brush. So that brush is piled up on the embankment. So I would like to really ask them to clean up the mess that they're making. If you could.
Long conversation.
Okay. And, if you want somebody who's very passionate about this to come along and participate in the conversation, I'd be happy to. But also, what is Eric's last name? I want to give a shout out to him. He was fabulous. He was the hardest worker. To me, he exemplified our city workers, and I talked to him at great extent because he was a recent hire. Great job, you guys, on that hire. And he talked about how much he loved working for the city. And he didn't sit in the truck. He threw himself into the railroad tracks, and he's the one who picked up the dead possums for me. But he was right up there clearing everything out. I mean, he was fantastic. It didn't matter if it was a tire or a candy wrapper, he was at it. So, yes, please do. And once again, I think we've worked out a really good partnership in getting things cleaned up, so thank you for that. And I want to give a shout out. You guys know Our House, the restaurant?
Our House Vista?
Yeah,
Bistro?
the flowers.
The flowers are beautiful.
Fantastic
Yeah.
job that they did.
Yeah.
So I'm going to send them some kudos, because that's just gorgeous. That's all I got.
Thank you. Councilor Crutcher?
Nothing.
I forgot to talk about the strategic planning committee. We decided, we had been planning to hold an event in which we kind of going to tournament a focus group, a bunch of community leaders to give us advice about the best way to gather information from the public about how they envision the future of Plattsburgh. So that meeting is going to take place Monday, 7 o'clock, right here. And we'll report back. This Monday coming up, yeah.
At 7 o'clock.
Oh, sorry, 6:30. 6:30 to 8:30. And shortly, we'll be reporting out. All of our information is available on a link in the city website, all of our minutes over the last couple months. And please take a gander. Included there are also plans from other municipalities that we've studied and have given us a lot of direction.
Thank you. Councilors Armstrong and Kretzer both bring a lot of passion. I know you've been talking about this for many years, and it's really nice to see it getting going. Strategic planning should give us the aspirations for where we'd like to go as a city and inform this budget process that we're starting to embark on as well. So obviously a strategic planning effort, if you look at some of the reports that your committee is reviewing, they're multi-year kinds of efforts, incredibly helpful documents. So I really encourage you to look at, I think a particularly good one from Fort Collins that you've been looking at. Is very exciting. But that will go into, starting by next year, to inform us on how we'd like to aspire to move our city, what's important for our city, what can we not afford to do without, and that will help inform the budget process. I'll just read to you very briefly what the charter asks the council to do, and this is something that I'm not sure as a new mayor how long this has actually been in the charter, but certainly It's something that we've discovered in the charter recently, and we take very seriously our duties to prepare a 5-year plan to guide the growth and development of the city. The plan shall include revenue and expenditure trends and projections, goals and plans for improving the efficiency of city government, desirable public projects and programs, and such other matters as may assist the mayor and the council in managing the city. The plan shall be adopted by resolution and shall be revised annually to include year 5 and reflect such changes as may be appropriate. The plan shall be adopted and modified by June 1 of each year. So as you know, we started the budgeting process very early on in January, and now we're realizing we're going to accelerate over this next 5 weeks to indicate to the public some of the priorities the city will have. The strategic plan will then help inform us even more for the following years. This 5-year budget will help inform the mayor for the mayor's budget, which occurs on October, which is then ratified by the council before the following January. So I think we've got a very deliberative process, very many people looking at this and being involved, and really true collaboration between the mayor's office and the council. So I feel really positive about that. Of course, it also means that we have to identify some very big challenges for the city, and we're trying to understand them better and articulate them, and I think you'll be hearing an awful lot about that over the next month as well. So as a finance economist nerd, this is pretty exciting stuff for me to see this process working with such an engaged group of councillors and the public who's actually been asked to work with us and help us on this as well. So you'll hear much more about this very soon. Maybe a little bit less lofty is I've asked a few members of the public and a few members of the city to work with me on an infrastructure and engineering committee to look at some of our critical infrastructure, be they water, sewer, water quality, roads, etc. A number of people have volunteered to participate on that. Any councils are interested in working with me on that, it'd be great to have you along as well, so just let me know. Mostly engineering types of individuals are involved with this from the public and from the city employment, so I think that have as many ideas on the engineering and infrastructure priorities will really help inform us when it comes time to do the capital planning later on in the year as well. I've heard some good comments from a few people in the public about the great job the DPW is doing right now in street sweeping. They were just amazed at how clean the streets are starting to look, and of course today is just one of those picture perfect days in April in the North Country. It's just really nice to see everything getting all spruced up, all the ground starting to turn green all of a sudden, tulips are starting to bud. This is, to me, is the greatest time of the year. And even perhaps more mundane for you all, but pretty important to the people who work in this building. Some of you may know that we've gone away, at least temporarily, but we're reconsidering whether we contract with custodial services for this building. In the meantime, the DPW has been helping to maintain this building for us and all the individuals that work here. They've been doing a great job. There's a young person named Steve who comes, and I see him every morning when I come in at 8 o'clock, and every day I say to him, "How are you doing?" And he always says, "Awesome." Then he asks me, "How are you doing?" I say, "I'm living the dream." He's just a really positive guy, a lot of fun. He's doing a great job in this building here, and I think that many of the people working here really commented on that. So thank you all for helping us out in this bind right now as well. That's all I have to offer. Any other questions or any other final comments? Seeing none, this is the second part in our meeting where we ask the public to please come forward and make any comments. At this point is on any items of concern. We do have a 5-minute timer, and if a number of you would like to speak on one issue, we'd ask you to ask one spokesperson to do so for your collective behalf. So please come on forward.
Hello, my name is Chris Blow. I'm the Vice President of the Plattsburgh City Retirees Association. About 3 weeks ago, I read an article to you when I
started out by explaining that it predates you, Mayor Reed, and you, Mr. Ensel. It was written by an attorney, and it felt very cumbersome reading it to you, to be honest with you. And because of that, I felt I needed to elaborate a little bit. It really was a who knew what, where, and when. It talked about a 30-day lapse of time in which information apparently wasn't forthcoming. However that went, I'm not sure. But because of that, Judge Mueller at the time was rather put out by that, and said so in the article. It also talked about undertaking, and to say the word, really what it comes down to, it deserves an explanation. The undertaking, it really is a pool of money. That pool of money was asked for by the city in the legal proceeding, and what it does basically is if our association loses, that money is awarded to the city in lieu of payments that they made for us on the lawsuit to reimburse the city. That first amount, the first undertaking, which was put into effect in the latter part of 2016, was $207,000. What that money was put together by the retirees of the city, strictly on their own. And frankly, I thought that was pretty impressive on their part. However, now there's a second undertaking requested by the city. It started out at 400-some thousand, I'm gonna say $450,000, and then it was negotiated down by Judge Moore down in the $330,000 range or something like that. That's gonna take effect in August of this year, possibly. It depends on these proceedings coming up. And I just wanted to basically define that undertaking and what it means, to the retirees. It's a lot of money for us, and it shows our commitment, and that's basically what I wanted to say. Thank you very much. And
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Chris.
Thank you.
My name is John Lenny. I promised to come back this week with a resolution. Unfortunately, our president has it, and he got called out of town. So I'm letting you know that next week, early next week, I'm planning on bringing it to every single one of you. And I'm hoping that we can put this lawsuit to bed. He's going to ask you basically to think what has happened here. The lies that we've been told about Humana, the lies we've been told about Excellus, the great insurance it is, the monies that have been spent by some of our retirees has just gotten out of control. We need to end this. I want to spend my time helping this city. When I worked here for 7 years, I saved this city $4,000 more than they paid me. And I did that by coming to work every single day trying to figure out how to save money. Yes, Becky, and I can prove it. I know you're rolling your eyes at me. Oh, $4,000. Well, anyway, maybe you weren't rolling your eyes.
I would appreciate it that you don't attack me personally.
And it's
Well,
not allowed.
That this is not a
Okay.
forum for that kind of
Well, I would
conduct.
appreciate you don't roll your eyes.
I did not roll my eyes, sir.
Okay, I apologize. But you have to understand how frustrating this is for us. I've got bills sitting that amount to $4,000 or $5,000. I don't have a clue if they're gonna be paid or not. They were denied by Excellus. And they're going, well, we don't ever pay those people. Well, I think those people are gonna wanna get paid. And I'm afraid they're gonna come to my paycheck. Anyway, let's put this thing to rest. Let's get the retirees. There's a lot of damn knowledge that we have about how the city works. And I'm so tired of looking up foils about different things. I don't want to be spending my time with that. So, take a look at this resolution that we're going to bring to you. I'm hoping that one of you, or two of you, or three of you, four of you, five of you maybe, will vote for it and end this thing. Thank you.
Any other residents like to come and speak? Seeing none, do I have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Moved by Councilor Armstrong, seconded by Councilor Ansel. Roll call.
Counselor Armstrong?
Yes.
Counselor Kelly?
Yes.
Counselor Ensel?
Yes.
Counselor Casper?
Yes.
Counselor Kretzer?
Yes.
Thank you, folks. Please stay for the budget hearing if you'd like.
Mike, I'm coming right back. I gotta go give the pickers back to Mike.
6 o'clock. Ready in the
I
evening.
should have thought to step in. I'm sorry. I'll try to remember that next time, but we didn't. You take care.
Mike,
Where's Andy?
my car's over on this side.
Right in front of Andy Center, and where the two statue is.
Oh, where the statue is? Right there, okay. Is there,
It's spelled wrong. It's A-M-I-T-E.
okay. Is there someone leading us?
This is where they're both the Hillel organization.
I mean, like, should I find an advisor for the name?
Well, I can tell you the advisor for Hillel is Jonathan Slater. Jonathan Slater, who is in the public relations and journalism department.
So that.
I don't know who the advisor is.
Do you know his extension?
I don't know off the top of my head. But if you call journalism, if you call 564-2000
So Joshua, you know how to turn it off?
and just ask for the PR journalism office.
I will.
They'll direct you to it.
I don't.
Well, I have the PR office anyway. They call me up and we talk about.
No, it's a different, this is academic.
Well, I never.
So this is gonna conflict, Josh.
Every organization.
What's happening on Monday? I can't come to both things. Are you gonna do like people here talking about?
What
Like,
assessment?
this is just a,
Always comes
yeah,
in lower.
this is something else. But
I
curious to have a lot of people be talking about this.
hope so. It's just gonna
Assessment case and send it to Dean.
My problem
And she'll have him send it to the.
Okay, thanks.
the average homeowner doesn't have that wherewithal to do it. They can't go out and hire assessors, and they, then they can't turn to attorneys. So basically, the small homeowners end up picking up the tab for people who challenge us.
They can go to reasons out.
They can. They can. No, because yes, our assessor does a magnificent job of assessing property. So, I don't think it's, there's gonna be a groundswell of assessment challenges. I think they can, but you gotta have a basis.
Right.
Not having a basis.
Okay, great.
Okay.
We can still write a memo to make a recommendation, though.
Assessments are,
If we need to make a recommendation. Okay. Has Dean seen a copy of this?
fair, it's administered equitably. So, as long as we follow that, there shouldn't be any challenges. But beneficial to try. We shall see. Really, you should call it. Oh, yeah, I'm gonna. Okay. Thank you. You're welcome. I wish I could say more.
I can't stay. I'm sorry. Do you mind stopping this at the end? I think it's just stop streaming, and then we just close the window. That'll Good, no problem.
Ways to get the leagues. Baseball community organizations that use the parks, start maintaining the parks in their own. So that's
maintained by another.
well, it's maintained by the recreation program.
Josh, but Dale with the rest of the community.
Sorry, that's not
Oh, he had work, some sort of work function.
Yeah, so he's been working, Peter's been working on that for months.
The only report I've got is Brian's.
Well, we got one by email from the clerk and from the assessment.
Okay, well, I'll have to share with you.
Who wants to go first, Sylvia? You, okay. Good report, by the way. Very good report. I'm so excited about some of these things you're doing, so.
They're not things that you can, they're not taped, so it's hard to put down.
Yeah, well,
In the end, you'll see something.
I just like talking about.
Good way to stick up for yourself, girl.
I've got a sore neck, and I turned my head, and he popped up.
Start disposing of old. That's pretty good, but what, how much of that?
I really sometimes
It's time to take an American Sign Language course. We actually talked about this. Are you talking Lakeside? The latest report from the owner is he's going to recommence demolition May 15th. Recommence it May 15th.
Well, it's a loss of the initial, previous assessment, but the assessor went back and reflected on the data and there's
I think we're all here, so we
which
can.
has some bearing that these commercial properties, you also
Oh, there he
look
is.
at their ability to generate revenue. So our assessor was comfortable with this assessment. Somewhat higher than
Yeah.
was
But
asking.
it was supposed to be, he said, May 15th, and then for 2 weeks, and then it started.
Get some water. Sounds like it.
We're all kind
I
of,
would be, and that's why I really wanted to make sure the assessor was fully comfortable. This wasn't
Spread the
simply a
word.
settlement. This was a meeting of the minds and proper valuation. In other words, this wasn't driven by lawyers, but it's driven by.
Michael?
That's
My
what-
daughter landed in Miami. She's going down to visit my son.
The other thing that both of them did, which wasn't done in this case.
On my flight, there was a
they
very
offered
handicapped man who was on the aisle
They
seat next to me, so I didn't
basically
drink
said,
anything
well,
on the flight, so I wouldn't have to use the bathroom.
To
God,
pay the
that's
back
funny.
taxes owed at least
My
based
wife
on
said,
rate.
"You're a very
We're gonna
compassionate
lower
spirit,
your
Chad.
salary
So
for X
have
number
Brian
of
buy you a
years to
drink
make up
tonight."
the difference.
She writes back,
That's not
"Ha ha,
happening in
he's
this
gonna buy me
case.
dinner."
Relief, you're no lowering of assessments. So, and that's why I felt very strongly about, I don't believe in the restricted relief, because it opens up that $10 box to the
Need a few more days.
Lots more stuff we had to do. I'm just trying to figure it all out. He was gonna be here tonight, but he couldn't make it, he had a problem.
I'm just gonna keep it simple. Hopefully, take care of it.
We were actually hoping to have the marshal.
Because the budget meeting is.
I think he's busy trying to settle in. Nice to see you.
The same as, probably the same as.
Try going
That was some of the days I was fun with the county.
It used to be perfunctory, nothing. Now it's,
Thank you.
grab some interest.
You know, afterward, I went up and had a beer with the old guy. It was a lot of fun. Why don't you go over that?
That's the other story.
Is that like a too close kind of a deal?
Some people might think it is.
When we get started, Miguel, I'm hungry.
They're good people over there. See you later.
Order the meeting of our public administration departments, and we'll start with Sylvia,
Thank you so
our
much.
city clerk. Thank you, Sylvia. Thank you.
So I sent it out an email to all the counselors, kind of a breakdown of where I'm at. I'll just go over that briefly and then answer any questions you might have. So some of the things I'm working on in my department are development of the records management policies and procedures. We've coordinated a team with Ann and Brian and myself to look at where our records are, how they're being kept, and what can we do moving forward to improve what we're currently doing. I've invited our regional advisory officer, Maria McCashin from the New York State Archives, to come down and have a meeting with us. She was very good. She went through everything with us. She's presented some ideas and suggestions. We're looking into grants. I spoke with Ricky Collins at the town of Plattsburgh. We might be able to partner with him for a grant, which would increase the funds available. And we both have needs, similar needs, so that might be an option. We're also in touch with the county. We haven't heard back from them yet, but that might be another alternative. I'm still working on the general code. We're updating the current code that we have. And I've sent to them the organizational analysis, and I'm waiting back for the manuscript, at which point I have 100 business days to go through, Dean, myself, and the mayor, look at it, see if there needs to be any changes, then they'll put that into effect. They'll actually write us up a sample law to pass, to bring the new code in, because they may be changing the numbering of the code, so that it allows for growth in the city, for laws to be included, that we might not have that option for growth right now, the way it is currently set up. In my department, we're also working on procedural manuals, things the clerks do daily, things that I do daily, weekly, monthly, yearly, trying to get it into a book format and updating it as need be, so that if something were to happen to any of us at any point in time, and we needed to hire somebody else, there's a plan of succession there, that we're not just floundering, wondering, what did she do at this point in the year? What did she do at this point in the month? What did she do at this point? So that's for the city clerk budget.
municipal buildings budget. I've been working with Joe McMahon on looking at the safety of the building as a whole. What can we do to improve? Departments have come back into being that were not for a while. Community development, that office has moved. We're looking at evacuation plans. Jim Welch from the building inspector's office is going to write up a plan for that. We're disperse it to all department heads so that we're evacuating the building safely in a crisis. We're also looking at emergency lighting, defibrillators, ADA signage for the elevators in case of an emergency, maintaining the cleanliness of the building. As the mayor had mentioned, we don't have the contracting service any longer. Mike's team has been great to fill in. They've done a fantastic job. Can't commend them enough. And the department heads as well, because while Mike's team is doing a fantastic job with public areas, the department heads have stepped up to the plate to clean their own departments. We bring our trash out to the common area. Mike's team picks it up, but we dust and vacuum our own areas. So, you know, I'd like to thank all of my team members, you know, the department heads in the building for doing a great job as well. So, as far as the budget, I look pretty good. My budget looks pretty good, except for my contracted services. Looks like it's at above 80%, but that's only because I got my two hugest bills early in the year. If I had gotten them in November, 80% would look great. Right now, it doesn't look great, but I don't expect that I'm going to exceed that line item. For municipal buildings, I do have some concerns. I have concerns that I might go over my buildings and grounds budget, because I never had to budget before for cleaning supplies, vacuum cleaner, floor polisher, soap. So when I did my budget last year, I didn't include those items because the contracting crew did those. So I don't know. You know, we do still have funds left in the payroll line item that Richard could move, but all that is not mine. I mean, the police department donated a share, and I donated a share, so I may go over that. You know, that's the reality of it. I'm doing my very best to stay under that, or at least break even, but the other thing is with the defibrillator, we didn't plan on that. So some of those monies Richard can move to what line item was that called, Richard?
Capital outlay.
Yes. So there's a line item there, we don't see it because I've never budgeted money there, but he can put, I've been working with Chief Lawless for pricing and the mayor, so that's probably where we're gonna have to take the money from, is from the salary position, put it there, the monies are there. And you know, hopefully I can stay in line with everything, but just a heads up, there's a chance I might not. The other line item that might go up because of the electric rates is the electricity for the municipal building, so. But other than that, I think everything looks good. Do you have any questions for me?
That was pretty thorough.
That was, thank you.
Thank you, Sylvie.
I'd just like to say thank you for establishing a committee of yourself and your peers to improve your operations. That's pretty admirable. Doesn't cost a dime, but your time, of course. And then also to partner with the town of Plattsburgh clerk to gain some efficiencies too. That's a wonderful thing to hear. And I have a question about E-Code 360. Is that what we voted for last year, to put our code and charter online?
Yeah.
Okay, and so you're actively working on that then?
Yes, I'm waiting for, I've already submitted the organizational analysis to them. I should be getting it back soon, actually, at which point, that's really the heavy undertaking. That's really where, you know, I gotta go through line by line by line, and work with Dean, and we'll look at, you know, currently the code, if you get to the zoning part of the code, at the back, all of the laws are just boom, 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 they're not really incorporated into the body of the zoning. So E-code will bring that, and people, it'll be easier for people to search. I mean, I get calls all the time, where is this? And, you know, it takes me a while.
Yeah.
To find it, so the citizens will actually, it's gonna be a lot more user-friendly to citizens to find the information that they're looking for. And actually, department heads have asked me for things too, that it's not user-friendly right now.
So this will be accessible from the city's website when
We'll
it's
link
complete.
into it, yes. They maintain their own site, but if Brian were here, he'll link into that so that it'll be available on our site as well.
Is there any ongoing maintenance for that?
Afterwards, yes, there is.
Okay, we'll talk about that another time.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you, Sylvia.
You're welcome.
Any
Thank
other
you.
questions?
Sylvia.
Thank you very much.
I think it's my turn.
Sure.
And at first I have to apologize, I didn't get a chance to send you ahead of time, but figured we could cover everything and then I will make sure that documentation follows. So 2 separate things happening at community development. One, events. Sandra's here if we need detailed questions, but regarding events, we are, and she is working towards increasing connections to other organizations, really trying to figure out efficiencies as far as capacity. She started a volunteer program and also a new committee around events in the city and had the kickoff events for both of those things already. So we're really looking at trying to figure out ways to allow for more events in the city without increasing the budget. Regarding budget for events, we're on track. Everything is on budget right now. Battle of Plattsburgh is until September, so things haven't been spent out of that. And then July 4th and Mayor's Cup are in July, obviously, so those things will happen soon, but we looking like we'll be under budget and for both of those things. So events are going well, looking at new partnerships, social media presence, the Discover Plattsburgh brand is out there, for lack of a better word, and it's doing very well. There's a 2017 marketing and events plan that I can share with you guys that we've worked on last year, rolled it over to this year, so things are going pretty well there. So I don't know if you have any questions specific to events, but Sandra can certainly answer them if you do.
This is going to be the biggest and best Mayor's Cup in quite some time. Actually begins July 1, which is Canada's 150th birthday, and hopefully a lot of Quebecers and people from Ontario will come down and enjoy it in, as Gary Douglas says, Montreal's southern U.S. suburbs. So
You couldn't get Justin to come down?
No. Well, no, I'm lying. I haven't tried.
No,
Try, maybe.
you should try.
I'll try.
Try.
I will. I follow him on Facebook. We can become friends.
I mean, seriously, he's
Who
the
are you
kind of
talking about?
guy.
Justin
He's the
Trudeau?
kind of guy. He's the kind
Oh
of
my
guy.
gosh!
He's the kind of guy who would come down.
He might come down.
I
more.
I think Ottawa
Okay,
has something planned that day
Right,
too.
burn
though.
that bridge.
Yeah, he
Yeah.
probably has a few other things to do.
Ottawa has a pretty big day that day too.
And then on the community development side, we have, the big thing that we're working on and continue to work on is the DRI. I sent the final submission out to all of you for review. The timeline for that is still supposed to be, we're supposed to hear back from the state in June, which would allow us to know what is going to be funded from the DRI funds and then what would be required out of the CFAs or other grant funds. To that end, currently working with other departments and with the mayor on a scenario A, B, trying to figure out if they fund Durkee Street but not the Dock Street project and the smaller projects, then what would we do with Dock Street, and trying to put together some scenarios there and what CFAs we could apply for to fill in the gaps. As part of grants in general, I had a conversation with Councillor Kelly a little while ago, and I have a form now that I'm going to be submitting when grants come up that will give the highlights and most importantly the match that is required, because all grants require some sort of match, so we can work that into the budgeting. So as we're working out scenario A, B, and C for the CFAs that are upcoming, you guys will be able to look and see each grant, the funding stream, where it comes from, and what is required of us after that. Along the grant line, we have, community development has about 12 active grants right now. that we are involved in, me. And so, with the new CFA round, some are ending, so hopefully be able to replace them with some new ones, but there's a lot of administration happening now on the grant side of things. Otherwise, continuing to engage community members, figure out ways to get people involved in process and having their voice heard. I've been at a number of events. Most recently went to Adirondack Young Professionals Economic Forum last night as a panelist, and that was great. There were a lot of good connection with some of the younger entrepreneurs in the city. So that was great. As far as the budget for the community development line, it's pretty solid. I mean, we pay for phones and heat and salaries out of that, really. The only variable is the contracted services. We've bumped that down quite a bit from when I started, and we are on task now. We're well under the budget. We may see a little bump in that during the CFA if we require outside help to write some of those grants. But other than that, I don't see any major expenditures out of there. So the CD budget is pretty good. The only concern, and the mayor and I have talked about it already, and I've brought it up here, really is capacity. It's a lot of work, and the amount that goes into administration for grants. The DRI is going to be an enormous undertaking in and of itself. It may, depending on how the state wants to see it, roll out, we may be dealing with 7 different agencies for the one amount of money. It's a great thing, and certainly up to the challenge, but there are also 12 other grants and any other CFAs and any other opportunities that we want to go for, infrastructure or playgrounds or things that we have talked about otherwise that are outside of the DRI. Also, been working on that. So there's a lot there. Matches we will definitely work on as they come up, but I guess that would be my one concern, knowing what's coming and our ability to do that.
Okay. And with the DRI, they will allow us to use some of the DRI for some of this capacity building. You're applying for grants and then administering the grants. Once we have a grant of the size of $10 million, there's an awful lot of implementation to do as well, and that's just not a resource we have. So we're strategizing and trying to figure out how we're going to have that capacity in place before we actually have to start implementing, because there's such a delay in hiring and all that kind of stuff that we really want to be ahead of the ball game and have everything timed just right, without knowing exactly what the timing necessarily is out of all of them.
Right, and for example, the Restore New York grant that's going to help us take down highway oil. I say it's only $54,000. I mean, that's a decent amount of money, but it's small compared to the $10 million. But it takes as much, between the engineer's time and the bidding and the seekers and the environmental piece that you have to do, and then the reporting that has to do, and then the reimbursements that are requested, and to do all that in a timely manner 12 times for 10 different agencies, and then the DRI. So, that would be, again, that would be my concern. But we're working on it, and I think we'll figure it out. But I guess that's the pinch point for me.
Okay. Want to tell us a little bit about the LDC?
Oh, yes. So the Lake City Local Development Corporation was an organization that local development corporations complement what cities can do. They are agencies that generally partner with municipalities to get things done that cities might not be able to do on their own. We have one. It was established a number of years ago, and when the Community Development Office closed, the LDC kind of faded a little bit. We have an active loan committee that does our economic revolving loan fund when applications come in, but the LDC itself hasn't met in a couple of years. So working with the mayor and Dean, we're trying to help get that organization back into compliance with a new board and reviewing then they can review their bylaws. What that will do is assist Sandra and events as sponsorships and things can be done. The LDC can do them in a way that the city is not allowed to do them. So it'll expand what the LDC does. I'm hoping that they'll also be able to take some of the capacity for that. They used to run the New York Main Street programs for the city, so I think we'd be able to reinvigorate that program. We've got some Main Street grants going on right now, and if the LDC is up and running and you know, at full capacity, then they may be able to take some of that without it being with the city in partnership.
Oh, yeah.
So.
So take some of that administrative pressure off of you then?
Correct.
Yeah.
They would be able to administer funds
Yeah.
and write the reports and ask for reimbursements and things, and
Right.
sort of become a little self-sustaining on their own. And I think we've got a good group. I'm gonna be asking some folks if they're interested, and hopefully they say yes, and we can start rolling out with the meeting.
That's
And
exciting.
that meeting will be announced, the membership is open to anyone, so those meetings will be public, and people will know that they're happening.
Okay,
Wonderful.
super duper.
Any questions? It's been fun. I really like what I do.
Yeah.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah.
That's good.
That
We do it a lot more.
Glad you do.
That helps a lot.
Thank
Thank
you.
you very much,
Thank you,
Paul.
Paul. And Sandra.
Kathy, do you like what you do?
Would you like a bigger
time of year?
office?
Yeah, would I like a bigger office? No, just more time in the day.
Yeah.
I'm really not prepared. My department goals, I just run around and try to complete the real property cycle every year. May 1st, my tentative roll is coming out. I've got 6 people that I don't even have their forms for. I got Josh Crutcher today. I made, I've got the Mooney boys coming in tomorrow. They're both blind, one's blind and one's, I've got Joan Hughes is on oxygen. I'm going out to get her thing tomorrow. We're very busy. I don't get done, but I really don't have, much time to implement much else. My budget is fine. My budget's fine. The only thing I'm gonna exceed is the telephone. Mayor Calnon adjusted it. I don't know why. My bills run $1,800. But I'm sure I can get $200 from another line item.
Okay.
My budget will be fine, but the telephone will be over. Do you have any questions?
We talked about getting you some help to do commercial assessments.
No, I don't.
Is that something you
No.
need, or?
No, I don't need help doing commercial assessments. I
Okay.
need help
Just
collecting the day-to-day activities, collecting my property, measuring.
Well,
Everybody wants, I don't know, everybody seems to want it. A lot of the public they want to hear it from me. Tammy's great at answering the question, but they still want to hear it from me. You can take a look at my telephone logs. I'm not sitting in my office doing anything. I'm measuring and valuing. That takes a lot of time. Right now, I've been valuing. I collect property all year long, and then I value from January until tomorrow morning. I have 4 more properties to review tomorrow. And hopefully by the end of the day, I'll start printing my change of assessment notices, and then Monday I'll print my tentative roll. But
I'm probably not gonna say this right, Kathy, but when was the last time we did a reassessment of commercial?
Derek, it's never been collected, it's never been done as a whole since Debbie Pita was here. It's been broken up into parts since Debbie Pita. Derek tackled the apartments and student housing and partial on Route 3. He did all Route 3 values. But downtown has, there's just like spots of commercial. The state really doesn't mandate assessor's office. They don't follow the assessments, commercial assessments. They're always, the ratios, it's all residential assessments. Sale prices to assessments, and they come in with their ratios, and they tell me what areas need to be addressed, but the commercials are always left out of that formula. Yeah, I found that rather unique too. There's a lot of holes. There's a lot of things that could be done. I mean, the city as a whole needs money. Their assessments can be looked at. A lot of them can. And I'm not talking residential. A lot of the commercial can.
Okay.
vacant land hasn't been addressed in years. We don't have that many parcels, but take a look at it. They're in no relation to what the sale prices are.
Yeah.
Okay.
We kind of, I could say a lot more, but
Definitely a source of revenue
Yeah,
to think
I mean,
about. There are several
there.
sources. Yeah.
the residential are pretty, they've been reassessed a lot.
Yes.
Yes.
Any other questions for Kathy?
Thanks a lot.
Thank you, Kathy.
Thank you very much,
You
Kathy.
may, yeah, if you get phone calls, send them in, I'm happy to talk.
Thank you.
Okay. Thank you. And
Just in case not everybody got my little packet, pass these out.
Okay.
goodness, Ann made a book for us.
Yeah, but I want the spines back, trying to save money.
Okay.
I'll just.
Wow, this is nice.
So, I have a fairly small budget. Payroll is my biggest line item. And I'm right on target for that. Rich hasn't paid me any extra checks, so. I'm at 27.7%.
Getting the end of a long line there.
Yeah. So we're good on that one. On office equipment, I was going to buy another filing cabinet because I have a lot in there, it's really crammed in. But then I'm thinking, I'm really focusing on scanning and archiving electronically. So I think I'm gonna save that $310 and just continue to scan, upload things into my computer.
Wonderful.
Office supplies, that's 64.5%. I figured out we're now at about 28% of the year. We're at day 103 out of 365 days. So 28% is where it probably should be, but I don't purchase that many supplies, so I kind of just bought what I needed this year, and there's a little bit left for emergencies. Telephone, about 20%. The contracted services. I did want to talk about that a little bit because I did talk with Rich a little while. If we're not going to continue with the management compensation analysis, then I think that we could probably look into that contract. It is a 3-year contract. Former Mayor Callen signed it in July of 2016. There is a clause in there, it's a $2,000 penalty if you drop the contract before year 2 is up. So that would bring us to about the middle of 2018, and we'd be able to drop the 3rd year without penalty. So that would be a savings of about $6,400 for that. Printing and copying, under the 28% on that, and then postage. There was an issue with postage. There was a couple individuals who needed to get FedEx packages because they weren't in town and they didn't receive their Excellus applications, and that was a real scurry at the end of the year last year to get everybody transferred over to Excellus from Humana. So that went onto my budget, but we're now billing for Schneider for that, so hopefully they'll return that money to the city. Because I really don't have a healthcare budget, so that really, they are our consultant, so that would probably be their expense. Hopefully they'll agree, so. So, any questions?
Crystal clear. Wow.
So then I've looked at this before every year, I try to figure out what I can do low cost in terms of some initiatives with HR. I do fly solo in that office, so these are not big, expansive goals. They're kind of goals that are zero impact on the budget, pretty much for most of them. So I kind of divided it into 5 areas. Workplace safety is near and dear to my heart. That's something I've been interested in for a long time, and we have made significant strides over the 5 years that I've been looking at workers' comp and reducing the workers' comp claims for the city, and that's saved quite a bit of money. And in addition, we switched from a fully insured plan with NICEF for workers' comp to a trust. Rich engineered that. appears to be a good decision.
So far, so good.
So far, so good, yeah. And our mod rate, which is the rate that they utilize to basically impacts the premium that we pay for workers' comp insurance, is really good because our claim frequency and severity has dropped. So see, these are some of the things that I would like to do with respect to safety. We do have a safety evaluation by New York State Workers' Comp. This is a free evaluation. They're gonna come and look at our violence in the workplace issue, because every department should be looked at, well, actually, we are required to be looked at by the state, and make sure that we are set up with certain equipment to be able to, in case there is a violence in the workplace incident, that we will be, that our employees will be safe. So they're gonna analyze that and give us a report back on that. They're coming around, I think it's around mid-May, the 16th or the 17th of May. So I won't go through all of these with you, I'll just kind of point out the highlights in each of the different 5 sections. I think employee communications is a big issue that we should begin to address. Not everybody in the city has an email address, and I think if we want to reduce injury claims, and if we want to promote wellness, I think everybody has to have an email address so that we can reach them. Because right now, we can't communicate with a lot of our workforce.
How is that even possible?
It just is.
It seems to me as soon as you get a hire, you get issued an email address. I mean, not just communication about that kind of stuff,
safety,
but about anything.
wellness, about healthcare, about, any kind of information that you want to send to employees that will help them in some way or help the city in some way. We should be able to communicate with them.
Does every employee have access to a computer?
Well,
in the
that's part of
workplace?
the issue, is that a lot of them don't.
Seeing some head shake, no's, a lot of them don't, so they would need computers or
At least one computer in the break.
access
In
to
the
the
break room.
computer.
But they could also use their cell phone
Well, they're not supposed to use their cell phone.
to check
But-
city email. Well, if they don't have an email account, then how can you have a policy that they can't use their cell phone to check?
Yeah, but they could, at break time, before they come to, if they come to work 10 minutes early, they could sit down in the break room and do some things. We
But-
are going to be implementing the employee self-service Munis module soon. I was talking to Brian about that, and that will be implemented. Then they can go online and actually look at all their payroll stubs. They can look at their W-2s. They can print out anything that they want. We won't be utilizing those envelopes anymore with the clear,
Yeah.
face on the envelope, and that's going to save money,
But yeah,
yes.
I don't understand why they wouldn't be able to check their email, like especially when you've got laborers in the field, sort of thing. Why they wouldn't be able to check, especially, it's not that they're using their cell phone or their iPad or whatever to, surf Amazon.
Yeah.
It's actually to check their city email. Why would that be a policy against that?
I don't know, we should have that discussion probably with some of the department heads and see, if we can get past that hurdle.
Is that they couldn't, okay, so tell me what the policy is, they just can't look at their cell phones at all during work hours?
So different departments have different policies, and those are established by the department head, depending upon, the type of work that the people do. I think there are a couple, especially field people that are in the field. I think those are the departments that definitely have the policies about cell phones, so it's probably something we should take a look at.
Now,
especially in
Is
law.
there a policy, Mike, in DPW on phones?
Yes.
Yeah. And I know MLD has one as well, that they're
Yeah,
not allowed to use.
I
their
understand
cell phones.
that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
Which
can get
makes
that.
sense. For
But
field
they still, with regard to being able to check your email, if you had an email address, they can do it after hours, they can do it at
Yes.
home, their computer at home, or their cell phone at
Well,
home.
But
that's
then
an
you're
issue.
asking somebody,
Yeah.
you're saying they have official correspondence that they can't get to until they're off the clock.
And they may say that we need to pay them because they're off the clock and it could be overtime and things like that. So it is an issue, but
Yeah.
again, you have to be able to
I
communicate
know what
with
you're
your
saying.
workforce effectively, especially with regard to safety, and trying to promote a real safe working environment. So,
Mike, so what are your perspective on that? I think kind of the prototype we're thinking of is
We
a
don't
laborer.
want personal cell phones on the job. I've had people that park on the side of the road, you get on their cell phone.
Sure.
And it's counterproductive, really.
I can get that. I was really thinking, first of all, of they could check their email after work.
Well, if there was just one computer in the break room, if it came in 10 minutes early, they do anyway, typically most people do, and then, you know, check their emails then, but it's something we really need to work through. You have to be able to reach your workforce.
I think you'd have to have more than one terminal.
Well, if we're proposing this as a way to save money on, say, printing materials, but then we have to give them 15 minutes of time each morning to check their emails, it might be a little bit of a false economy. So maybe we should consult with some of the department heads and figure out the best way to do this. Because I don't know the answer, I haven't explored it yet, so I'd be new to this exploration.
Yeah, well, the cost of the printed pay stub is $900 a year.
Just the printed pay stub. Is that the envelopes?
That's everything, $900 a year.
Yeah.
Cost of one laborer walking into a hole because they're using their smartphone is gonna be way more than $900 a year.
Well, the cost of having to pay overtime for people that you require to check their emails at home at night.
Yeah. And we're required.
We have a wide range of people and their actual ability to use computers too. That alone is a challenge. I'm not making this up. We have, you know, all ranges.
But the healthcare enrollment guide, they do have to receive a copy of that by law every year because of the federal notifications that are in the back. I mean, to print that out for 280 employees is a significant cost. So it's something we should probably think about. And once we implement employee self-service, there's no point in having employee self-service if we're not gonna use it, if we're not gonna be able to save that $900 a year. So anyway, it's something we probably need to talk about.
Interesting.
We're having an issue with one union that they would like us to print that document out 1,500 pages. I think I calculated for the city as a whole, it costs $50,000 to print them out. And this is a group of people that actually has a lot of time on their hands and can easily get to computers for almost 24 hours a day, so they can get it electronically very easily, but much more easily than almost anybody else. But they're really advocating for us to print out this huge document for everybody. You know, thousands of pages each document kind of deal.
Most of it probably never gets read.
How could it? It's so long and confusing.
It's 173 pages for the summary plan document.
Who'd have ever known that
Was your
medical
thesis that
was
long, Carl?
complicated stuff?
Or your dissertation that long?
Yeah.
So moving on quickly through training, we've opened up a few different additional applications in Munis that we haven't used before, which has been exciting. We're looking at position control now, so that we can actually track people's positions, and with the click of a key, we'll be able to pull up all of the vacancies in the city and who's where. We're also we're able to track people's career path. We haven't been able to do that in the past, so that we would look at an employee and not know when they were promoted. We'd have to run to the paper files. Now we can, that's a lot of 5 years worth of data is now in Munis, so we can retrieve and look at those career paths. So that's good to know. I'm working with one of the DPW personnel, teaching her a little bit about the HR side of Munis, which I eventually hope to train a lot of the clerks and give them, of course, permitted access to different modules, so that they have a lot of the information regarding personnel in terms of their personal, the PCN numbers as we call them, so they can fill out the personnel change forms appropriately. It's just an administrative efficiency. That would be helpful. Health and wellness, that's a biggie. As everybody knows, the cost of healthcare is rising significantly, and whatever we can do within our own workforce to try to promote wellness, to reduce the number of the prescriptions that are being written, and the trips to the doctor. If we can create a healthier workforce, that will definitely, it's a long-term, the outcome is long-term for that, but we have to start somewhere. And Blue Shield, Northeast New York has a wellness initiative. They charge us, I think it's $1.55 per person per month for that. And they will actually do basic healthcare metrics and monitor them, and then reach out to the individuals and let them know what they could do, weight loss programs or additional exercise programs. So that's something that I'd like to dig a little bit more into. And then Sylvia spoke a little bit about this, but the HR records is, records citywide is definitely something that we really need to begin to look at, because we have quite a large collection of records. You know, there's liability around that, and there are legal issues surrounding it. In terms of HR employment records, we do have to comply with several federal laws regarding record management. So those are, I have a few goals listed down there. So that's it from the HR side. Anybody have any questions?
No,
But thank you.
thank you for
Thank you.
thinking.
And here you go.
Oh, wait.
I'm just gonna give you that.
That's right there. Thank you.
I'd like to have an electronic copy of this.
This I sent everybody.
Oh, you did, okay. Well, I'll give this back to you again, so you
I
can
like
reuse.
paper, I'm sorry, I just like it.
Now, Brian's not here tonight, Brian Brayton, he was gonna report also, but he did send us a report, did all of you see it? Okay. Brian is interested in setting up an IT strategic committee, and I've offered to serve on that, so we'll see where that goes.
One of the first things we'd like that committee to do is to come up with an IT code of conduct for our employees. You know, what is the policy for smartphones use? How can we make available things like the details of the health plan in some electronic way that can be accessible? Maybe instead of printing them out, maybe we can give everybody a flash drive or a CD-ROM or something to make sure they have access to that information still, but at a lower cost. We've looked at a model IT policy from similar municipalities and may adopt that. There already is an IT policy, but I don't think it addresses all the things that we need to address. So you'll see that coming out of this committee that Councilor Kelly talked about.
Okay. Well, if there's no further reports or information to share, we'll ask if a member of our public would like to come forward and address us. Not tonight? Okay. Then we're at the point of adjournment, so how about we adjourn? Is everybody okay with that?
Yep, I'm down with that.
Okay, we're down, okay. Thank you so much, everyone.
Thank you to everyone who presented.
What? Yes. On the direct.
Thank you very much, you guys.
Yeah, I saw it this morning, we were doing judges, being judges at